back to my channel. I am here with this week's astrology oracle for you. No matter what you celebrate, this has been a week filled with holiday, travel, and definitely stress if you were hit by that winter storm. I don't even know what to call that, but yes, hopefully everybody stayed safe out there and had a great time. And just wanted to preface this whole video just by saying, you know, if you didn't have one of those special days or special moments, then I'm hoping that you can find some solitude as we round out this year. We only have, 5 days left in 2022, so this could just be a great opportunity for you to find your own pockets of peace. So, as always, I will be using an event chart created for Dayton, Ohio at 11:11 a.m. And today that is giving us a 4-degree Capricorn sun. We are officially into Capricorn solar season. We have a 2-degree Pisces rising. Yes, we have left the Aquarius rising territory and now have moved on to a much more mystical, magical Piscean rising to take us into the new year with these readings. And we have a 20-degree Aquarius moon, which is, I was just like, wow, that's really cool because that's actually forming a conjunction to my natal moon, which is a 17-degree Aquarius moon. So, love to see it. So, we have to talk about some things in this chart. First of all, because the moon is in Aquarius at 20 degrees at the time of this reading. So, by the time you watch this, maybe it's not at that degree anymore. But again, at 11:11 a.m. on the 26th of December, Monday, here we are. Here's what we're looking at. That conjunction happening between Saturn and the moon. It is a very intense conjunction to be happening expressed across the collective, but I feel like this is something that I can definitely, on a serious level, resonate with and relate to, because I, as a natal Aquarian moon and Aquarius Saturn, I have been experiencing a Saturn moon conjunction on and off for like the last year now, and it's definitely not been easy, thank you to therapy and astrology and tarot and things of that nature. But one thing that I definitely have been trying to focus on is maturing around emotions. So that is definitely something that could be coming through. Now in this chart, we do also have this conjunction happening in the 12th house. So, you know, it could be a very private, personal matter of you just, you know, reevaluating your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the emotions, because it's Saturn, it's primarily going to be focused on weaknesses, limitations, fears, because those are the things that Saturn really, pardon me, I have to put my chair up, that Saturn really rules. So yeah, something that will kind of be done in private, maybe something that can happen in the dream realm if you are feeling like you're not getting enough sleep right now. Very relatable. It's just, again, a good time to find yourself some moments of peace and solitude amongst everything else that's going on, which includes a square between the sun and Chiron. Chiron has moved, Jupiter. The sun and Jupiter are forming a square. So Jupiter has once again ingressed back into Aries. It is actually at 0 degrees right now. And with that very early Capricorn sun, we are seeing a square happening between those, almost exact to the degree. And we'll definitely feel this alignment tomorrow as well. Otherwise, some things I'm seeing, we do have a lot of planets in Capricorn right now. The Sun, Venus, Mercury, Pluto, and they are sending some very harmonious trining energy down to Taurus, but we do have Uranus in Taurus, and it is retrograde. So that's a little, you know, it's unpredictable where Uranus could maybe take some of those opportunities, if you will. Pluto, you know, is not looking to do anything delicately. Mercury is about to go retrograde, or is about to be entering into its retrograde phase. It stationed retrograde, I believe, last week or the week before. And, you know, we have Venus here just really harping on our sense of values. And slowly but surely, the sun is going to come into this same domain. All of the planets that I just named in Capricorn, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto, are all at 20, 23, and 27 degrees. So yeah, we have almost an exact trine between Venus and Uranus. And, you know, crossing over that, we have this square from the sun and Jupiter, We are seeing some, you know, sextiles happening between some of the Capricorn placements and Neptune and Pisces. So things are a little, you know, a little all over the place. It's not necessarily, I don't know, too negative, but it definitely, I mean, that heavy Capricorn feeling, you know, with that very heavy Aquarian feeling with Saturn and the moon, and then again, Pluto, Mercury, Venus, the sun, you know, it's not a light vibe. It's definitely not. You know, in traditional astrology, much like Capricorn, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. So, you know, if you're feeling a little depressy, if you're, you know, just not feeling up for social situations, you know, just be respectful of your own boundaries, because, you know, one thing that Pisces and that Neptune placement are doing, you know, up against those Capricorn placements, are definitely like blurring the lines a little bit. And that's not something that Capricorn can really thrive in. And, you know, regardless of what zodiac solar season we're in, I think it's really important and useful to dive into the archetypes that the zodiac and its ruling planets and houses all represent. And, you know, in this case, we are dealing with a lot of maturing, probably some things coming to the surface. You know, we're approaching this, you know, end of the year, kind of the death of 2022, if you will. And, you know, it's no wonder that something like that happens during Capricorn season. It's like, okay, like, let's say goodbye and let's move on to something, you know, new or better or whomever, whatever. We just got to keep going. We've got to evolve. We've got to grow up. So that's my little spiel to get us started. And then let's see what card we get today. The 5th house of creativity. In this particular chart, all of those Capricorn placements are in the 11th house, making them opposite to the 5th house, which again in this chart is ruled by Cancer. The 5th house is actually typically associated with Leo energy and the sun. This is a place that we look to for creative inspiration, where we kind of come alive a little bit, where we're really able to express, you know, ourselves, our passions. You know, if you're a Pisces rising, like this chart is created, and you happen to have Cancer in the 5th house, then, you know, nurturing others would certainly be considered a creative passion of yours. And however way you choose to do that, whether it's, you know, psychology, teaching, being a parent, what have you. Speaking of being a parent, the 5th house is associated with procreation and kind of getting pregnant. So, you know, I have had clients very recently ask me about, you know, how can I use my chart to kind of understand my fertility and my cycle and things of this nature. And I will say this is not my specific area of expertise, but looking at the archetypes, paying attention to what's happening in your 5th house, across from your 5th house, squaring your 5th house, are super great indicators to kind of understand where you're at on, you know, in your celestial biography, if you will, right? So if you have Venus transiting the 5th house, or Mercury and Venus transiting the 5th house, let's say you're a 5th house Capricorn, your chart is flipped, you're actually a Virgo rising. Definitely those are great indicators that it could be an awesome time to get pregnant. At the same time, if you have like Saturn or Pluto even, or potentially even like Mars, if it's in like a really nasty aspect with Saturn or Pluto, then it could actually reveal that like this is maybe not the best time. So if it's not the best time in your evolution to try and become a parent or get pregnant or whatever, it's kind of, I don't know, relieving to know that it's not the right time in the cycle, and to maybe not put so much pressure on yourself. Or if you are determined for it to be the right time, then, you know, pull in some resources, you know, whatever that people always ask me, like, is this good or is this bad? And it's like, well, neither. It's information. And really what you do with that information is up to you. And, you know, you can go as deep with it or stay on the surface as much as you want. The 5th house, again, here the mantra is creativity. We see the comedy and tragedy up here. You know, the 5th house is it's a fun house. It's a place of theater. It's a place of, you know, acting and schmoozing and putting things on and just kind of coming to life, if you will. You know, thinking of the associated zodiac sign being Leo, again, this is like a great place to just take up space and to like let your light shine through. So, you know, look at your 5th house, pay attention to what's going on there. If you have planets there, you know, these could potentially be, you know, insights and perspectives for like entertainers, publishers, writers, actors, performers, singers, you know. And again, when you look at the opposing house, the 11th house, this is kind of like people either in your peer groups or interest groups, like really having their eye on you. And, you know, when you think about the 11th house, not to get too much into it with this, but don't worry, we'll get there. The 11th house is wedged between the 10th house of reputation and the 12th house of escapism. And so in between the world knowing you and only you knowing yourself is everybody else really getting to know you. So yeah, definitely kind of understanding the foundational structure of the houses can just be like so validating. So yeah, and then you look at the 5th house, right? This is the house of, again, creativity, procreation, passion, definitely passionate and like purposeful. You know, it's not like lovemaking in a romantic way. It's like, we are going to do something here. We are going to make a baby, you know, and not even just because it's intentional, but it's like the act of creation, you know, that kind of passionate act is very 5th house. And in any chart, the 5th house is wedged between the 4th house of family, a very private domain, and the 6th house of daily routines. And so, you know, much like we have with the 10, 11, and 12 houses, we have this vibe of like, you know, opposite of the 10th house is the 4th house, which is very much tucked away at home. And then we have this, you know, purposeful creation and creativity and passion. And then we have routines and our like kind of daily structure, to-do lists and places we go and people we see. And yeah, I don't know, I just think it's very fascinating to kind of reflect on the entire structure of the chart. And this is why, you know, even though in this particular chart I'm reading for you right now, there are no planets currently in Cancer, right? Like, it's not Cancer solar season, the moon is not there yet, nothing like that. It doesn't make this house not valuable, right? It doesn't make this house like not important to your story. So yeah, 5th house, she wants to be seen. Also, if you have planets in this house, again, you know, they really want to have some attention on them. And whether it's you or a performing group or whatever it is, your 5th house is a great indicator of like things that you really got to, you know, put yourself out there and try and play with and, you know, kind of see what happens, right? And just having fun with it. You know, the 5th house, this isn't the career domain, okay? That's not that. The career domain is elsewhere in the chart, and that's not to say that your passions and creativity can't give you a career or be the foundation of a career, but they are not on its own a career. It's those interests, those things you know, want to do and try, whether it's dancing or singing or whatever, comedy. You know, the 5th house, great place to look for really just understanding more about your own, you know, hobbies and interests and, you know, just stuff you should try. So I'm gonna grab my little handy dandy book here and give us a little more info. The quote for this is Pablo Picasso. "Every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up." All right, so the 5th house, be happy, give yourself the gift of happiness. If the zodiac had a fun house, it would be the 5th house. Pleasure, creativity, and children are all elements of this house. Being ingenious and in the limelight is another element. We find our childlike imaginations through storytelling and fantasy. Playing is very much what the 5th house is all about. That's why this part of the chart rules over romance, especially in the beginning stages, right? Flirting, courting. As children, our imaginations know no bounds, and we indulge in creative performances. As adults, when we dip into this field, we allow our minds and hearts to roam free and produce masterpieces. When the 5th house brings romance, we enter into a kind of playfulness and sensual joy that often happens in the playground of adulthood. This card turning up in a reading indicates that you have created or will begin to create something to be proud of, something that will bring others joy. It may have you on a stage or just in an area where adults can let their hair down and become as children, responsive, joyful, and free. You can expect the completion of a project or the accomplishment of a significant goal for which there will be a celebration. You've put your hard work into a project and will now see results. Gifts, parties, gatherings. Sounds very much like what we've been doing in the last week, right? Premieres, galas, or even weddings could figure in. You could become involved in a school setting with children or young adults. Since the 5th house is the natural position for the sign Leo, someone close to you, a potential lover, a mate, or the two of you together will make a striking appearance. It's time to go out and be seen. This card may turn up during the time of a budding romance. It could be tied to artistic expression, art of any kind, from painting to drawing, creating stage sets, costuming, writing, screenplays, making films, even music are indicated. If you're a parent, the 5th house stands for your children or other offspring, such as grandchildren, even your friends' children, or the friends of your children, the friends of your children. This card turning up could indicate that a younger relative could be specially acknowledged. The 5th house is about finding joy and creativity and self-expression with a promise of jubilant return to childhood. It can denote a carnival-like atmosphere where life becomes a 3-ring circus, but usually in the best way possible. Multitasking and taking on more than is expected and having spectacular success is indicated. This is the card of mastery and victory, and in a deep way. It's about what you carry inside of your heart. Anything is possible. Just move forward. Man, I'm obsessed. The fact that the next reading that I will be, sorry, my chair keeps going down. The next reading that I will be doing for you guys is going to be in the new year. And so this is really sending us off. This is us ending 2022. We've worked hard. Now it's time to play maybe a little bit harder. So until next time, until next year, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.